In the never-ending quest to stage the biggest heists in history, criminal minds across the globe have developed more and more sophisticated ways to get their hands on some massive dough. Our latest list of the 10 greatest criminal heists take us on a journey through history and around the world in search of criminal heists displaying the most creativity, brazenness, and in some cases, the greatest amount of folly. Number 10. Greatest example of what not to do when committing a heist. The Cornerstone bank robbery. We start our list with the award for the greatest display of questionable judgment in a heist. This distinction goes to 19-year-old Hannah Sabata, who, after having her child taken away by the state and being charged with neglect, decided to rob a bank to get back at the government. What's a girl to do in such a situation? So she stole a car and, under threat of violence, convinced the bank teller to hand over just $6,400. Having successfully carried out her great heist, and having never heard that you should lay low after committing a crime, poor Hannah Sabata, I can't help it, I love rhyming names, recorded in great detail her grand accomplishment and posted it on YouTube. Yes, she was caught. Yes, the money was returned. I love a happy ending. Number 9. Greatest reason to be a twin. The Kaufhuas de Westens diamond heist. In 2009, 3 masked men broke into Kaufhuas de Westens, the second largest department store in Europe, and proceeded to ransack the main floor and abscond with over $5.4 million in jewelry. Using a rope ladder, the men were able to avoid tripping any sensors or alarms. Thanks, 007! However, they left behind a single, non-bloody, glove at the scene of the crime. Investigators found DNA on the glove matching twin brothers Hassan and Abbas O. Luckily for the twins, under German law, each person must be convicted individually, and because the DNA matched both brothers so closely, there did not exist independent evidence to convict them. The brothers were set free, and the third man was never found. Number 8. Greatest hair-brained idea. The Agricultural Bank of China robbery. It's a common tale. Our hero is in desperate need of cash for whatever. He cashes out his savings and lets it ride in Vegas. Depending on whether you're watching a rom-com or crime drama, our hero either loses everything or wins big. For bank manager Ran Xiaofeng, who decided to pull out 200,000 yen from his bank vault to buy lottery tickets in 2007. His scheme actually paid off. After successfully returning the 200,000 yen and profiting big time, Ren decided he would try again. Enlisting the help of another bank manager, Ren stole another 33 million yen to purchase even more lottery tickets. Presumably, because his last attempt didn't lead to the best results, he stole another 18 million yen a month later. Clearly, Ren did not take statistics in college, or he would have realized that the odds were never in his favor. Both bankers were eventually captured, and they were only able to return 98,000 yen. Both bank managers were sentenced to death. Number 7. Greatest use of gardening tools. The Banco Central robbery. In a more tropical locale, armed with shovels and pickaxes, a group of men set up shop next to the Banco Central in Fortaleza, Brazil, in August 2005. Using a landscaping business as a front, the men dug a 256-foot-long tunnel beneath the building to the bank's vault over the course of 3 months. Paulo Sergio and his gang of merry gardeners then cut through over 3 feet of iron and concrete to get through the floor of the vault. Security precautions such as motion detectors apparently did not give the men away, as they made off with over $90 million in cold, dusty cash. No one has ever been caught, and none of the money has ever been recovered. Number 6. Greatest display of creativity in a diamond heist: the Harry Winston jewelry robbery. In 2008, 4 men, presumably of Slavic origin, donning wigs, dresses, and heels, walked into the Harry Winston boutique and proceeded to smash display cases and steal over $108 million worth of diamonds and other jewels. Armed with only a handgun and a grenade, the 4 men in drag finished their work in under 20 minutes. Most of the jewelry is still missing, although some of the lost jewels were found in a drainage pipe in the Parisian suburb of Saint-Denis. As of this year, 8 men have been convicted of crimes related to the Harry Winston robbery. Number 5. Greatest art heist: the Gardner Museum heist of 1990. 2 men posing as police officers convinced the night security guards to let them in to investigate an alleged disturbance. The phony cops subdued the guards and handcuffed them in the basement while they spent the next 2 hours carefully selecting their favorite works from Rembrandt, Vermeer, and others. The 2 men took the surveillance tapes and left, despite the fact that some of the art was literally slashed from the frames. The estimated value of the pieces at the time was over $300 million. No one has ever been caught, nor were the pieces recovered. 4 years after the heist, an anonymous person made an offer to the museum for the return of the paintings in exchange for $2.6 million and immunity from prosecution. However, that person has never been heard from again. For those of you short on cash, you wouldn't be reading this otherwise, right? There is a $5 million reward for information leading to the return of the art pieces. Number 4. Greatest mugging of all time. Man gets mugged at knife point carrying bonds worth $2.92 million. On one night in 1990, Shepherd's broker John Goddard was walking through London carrying a briefcase full of Bank of England treasury bills worth £292, the equivalent to over $438 million. These bills, also known as bearer bonds, are deemed to be owned by whoever is in possession of them. This law worked out well for the man who mugged Goddard, as he suddenly became the unwitting owner of over $435 million. However, what was once thought to be the work of a petty thief, the deed was deemed to have been orchestrated by an international organized crime ring. In 1993, Keith Cheeseman pled guilty to crimes related to the laundering of the bonds. Number 3. Greatest bank withdrawal by a dictator. Saddam Hussein's son steals $1 billion from the Central Bank of Iraq. Meanwhile, back in Iraq, land of the amazing disappearing dollar, the day before coalition forces began bombing the country in 2003, Saddam sent his son Qusay to the bank with a handwritten note to withdraw some cash. Now, we've all been asked by our parents to go grab some cash from the bank, but it didn't typically involve 5 boxes of $100 bills totaling $1 billion. Saddam then hid $650 million of the funds in the walls of one of his palaces. Home Depot was sold out of insulation that day. U.S. military troops eventually found the $650 million, but there is $350 million still remaining at large. Father and son were both killed on unrelated charges. Number 2. Greatest bank hack. $1 billion stolen from over 100 banks in 30 countries. A hack ring consisting of hackers from China and Europe have apparently developed malware to target banks in largely Russian-speaking countries since 2003. The sophisticated malware called Carbonac infiltrates a bank's internal computers and allows the hackers to track the daily routines of the bank employees, as well as enabling them to pose as an actual employee. Armed with this new information, the hackers were able to transfer millions of dollars from Russia, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Japan, and the US into accounts in other countries. The malware also enabled hackers to dispense cash from ATMs without even touching them. Bank security cameras show lucky passerby, aka hacker mules, collecting the cash. For those of you deciding on a career change, consider cybersecurity. Number 1. Greatest dollar amount in history. $6 billion stolen in Iraq. Finally, the kind of the 3 Comma Club heists goes to none other than the United States of America. While the exact date of the theft is unknown, what is known is that the U.S. set up a bank account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York using funds from Iraq. The funds were withheld from Iraq during the reign of Saddam Hussein. Apparently, by 2004, stacks of over 12 billion U.S. currency were airlifted to Baghdad aboard a 21C-130 military cargo plane. Despite years of investigations, the most recent report from the Office of the Inspector General, the most that can be said about the loss is that the U.S. government file clerks don't take their jobs too seriously. Oh, in the U.S., Hillary Clinton couldn't be bothered to hire a new auditor for 5 years. Bottom line, nobody knows where the money went, and Iraq wants it back.